Good afternoon. Today is the 5th of March and weather's not so good today. And sadly, the topic that I'm talking about isn't too great either. It's about what happened to Saab and why they've disappeared from our roads. So Saab started off as an aircraft manufacturer in Sweden, and they were making cars by the late 1940s. They pretty much made just one model between about 1947 and 1969, which was the 92, then the 93, and then the 95 and 96. They were all variations on the same thing. They all had two-stroke engines, front-wheel drive, and it's very distinctive styling, and were a small type of car. Obviously, each generation got a little bit better until in 1969 or thereabouts they released the 99, which was a much more modern type of car. Saab was known for being very quirky. The only cars that weren't front-wheel drive were the cross-wheel drive cars, which were towards the end of Saab's life. Their cars always had funny things like ignition keys on the floor, which locked the transmission in reverse before it was pulled out. They were very safety conscious cars. They had their own sort of engines most of the time, apart from getting in engines initially from Triumph, funnily enough, and then from Ford, and then developing better versions of the Triumph engine and dropping the Ford engine by 1980. They had a tie-up with General Motors from the late 80s onwards, after an interesting collaboration they'd had with Fiat and Alfa Romeo and Lancia to make the Saab 9000. But the General Motors era is the one that actually really counts, because that was in some way responsible for the death of the company. So Saab by the 2000s was a company that was essentially just changing the body on pre-existing structures on cars. The Saab 93 was very closely related to the Vauxhall Vectra. The Saab 95, the latest one that was launched in about 2011, that was based on the Vauxhall Insignia. And Saab basically just was losing a lot of money, despite the use of shared engines from General Motors and Fiat at that stage. And some Saabs were made as other designs. The Saab 92X was effectively a rebadged Subaru Impreza. The Saab 97X was a rebadged Chevrolet Trailblazer. And the Cadillac, I think it was called BLS, was a rebadged Saab 93. So they shared parts wherever they could, but the company was too quirky and too individualistic to fit in with the General Motors stable, and they were sold off to a Dutch maker called Spyker in about 2010. That didn't work out very well. So Spyker, despite the fact that they managed to keep the company going a little bit, they again ran out of money. Saab had been losing money under General Motors for some years, and they wanted to launch the new 95, of which maybe only sort of 10,000 or so were made. They were going to launch a new 93, and I think of a 94X. I'm not sure too many of those ever made, but by 2012 it was all over. These days, the only remnants of Saab cars are about 1,000 that were made the early part of this decade by a new company called National Electric Vehicle Sweden, NEVS, although they weren't actually electric, which is a bit strange. And a Chinese company has bought the rights to build their designs, although the Saab name wasn't among them. These days you can buy Saabs relatively cheaply, particularly the later models like the 93 and the 95. The classic Saabs remain classics, as they always would do. and yes, there's very good aftermarket support for them. A lot of them, had architecture shared with Vauxhall and Opel cars in particular, so they're not necessarily difficult parts for or get serviced. In terms of reliability, they're reasonably average. They're not particularly bad or particularly good, and they have very, very nice, comfortable seats. So I really hope you found that video useful. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, and to leave a comment. If you wish me to source a car for you, then I'd love to do that. It doesn't have to be a Saab, it could be anything. My website is www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you ever so much indeed for watching.